The brothers WISP. The brothers WISP, brothers WISP. The brothers WISP. The brothers.
You're now listening to Greg. It's the brothers WISP.
Good afternoon, guys. This is Mike from WISP America 2018. I'm speaking with Jim from Bridgewave. I believe Jim has been in my inbox every couple months for seems like a decade. How long have you been with Bridgewave?
Oh, I started back in 2006, so it's been about 12 years.
So probably as long as he's been there, I'll probably be getting emails from him.
Yep.
So I bring that up to indicate that they've gotten new to the marketplace. They've been around. They've kind of proven themselves as being some pretty quality radios. And they've got a couple new products. Well, one's been out a few months. One's a brand new. Some of you guys have heard about them. So Jim, tell us, what do you have that's new and exciting?
So on the microwave side, we've introduced a new Navigator product, which we introduced back in October, I think at the last WISP show in Las Vegas. So this product will support frequencies from 6 to 42 gigahertz. Some of the unique features of the product, I'm just going to take off the top cover here, is one of the biggest features you'll see a lot of feedback from customers as far as what they're looking for is on the replaceable diplexer side. So in the past, for example, like an 11 gigahertz where you have multiple subbands, for example like 3 subbands, you would need 6 different radios if you wanted to have replacements for each one of those within your network. With this product here, on the Navigator side, the Navigator radio, the chassis we'll call it, which is here, and inside this is the dual carrier product, so we've got subcarrier 1 and subcarrier 2, and then we're using an OMT coupler to bring those both together. But with this product here, you can actually take the diplexers out. We'll sell these for a couple $100 each, so you can buy the chassis, the radio chassis here, either populated with the diplexers or not, and then you can put these on the shelf. So for example, if you had a failure, all you have to do is know what the subband is, pop these pieces of metal subband pieces in there, and voila, you're ready to go. So you go from 6 radios, for example on 11 gigahertz, all the way down to 1 radio and with removable diplexers in. So I think it saves a lot of money, especially if you're stocking different radios for replacements within the network. Say if you got 10, 20, 30 links, you got to be able to cover each one of those subbands, and with the new Navigator product, it makes life a lot easier then. So another feature on it's going to be a 10 gig port on it, so you'll be able to put 2 subband carriers together and then run one 10 gig fiber from the radio to your switch. So instead of aggregating multiple fibers together, you can have one cable. Also has PoE and 48 volt or both. So some customers will run both, and the radio will automatically foul over between 48 volt and PoE for power density. And as far as bandwidth goes, on 80 megahertz channels on the ST, which is a single carrier product, we're roughly looking at 750 meg. On the DT product, we're looking at roughly about 1.3 gigabit. Later this year, once the product gets into production, which we're targeting right now in the May-June timeframe, we'll have a software upgrade for each one of the products. So on the ST version, which is a single carrier, the software upgrade, the hardware's already there. You'll be able to turn it from a single carrier to a dual carrier radio, meaning that instead of just 750 meg, you'll be able to get more than a gigabit of speed through that product then. So, and then on the DT version, you'll turn it from a 2 carrier product to a 4 carrier product.
Okay. As you guys see here in the camera, here we've got the DC power. Here we've got a grounding lug. Here's your PoE. It's like 2.5 gig SFP, 2.5 gig SFP.
And then you have a 10 gig SFP in there too.
Okay. Everyone that watches the show, more and more WISPs are becoming more attracted to SFPs, and for all the tower infrastructure. I know that licensed microwave has had SFPs longer than most of the other things. But then, you know, for a long time, a lot of products have had, you know, I think even, you know, one of your previous generations was an example where you needed, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these 1 gig interfaces to use the full radio.
Right, and then you'd have to bring that, you know, say if you had 3 gig or 5 gig, you'd have to bring all that fiber back and aggregate to a switch. It gets very complicated, you know. Where now you've got 10 gig SFP, so it makes life a lot easier when you're bringing that much bandwidth into your core network switches and knowing that you only have to have 1 cable instead of multiple cables to get that much bandwidth. So.
Okay.
So you don't have to, I mean, it still takes some setup on the switch and stuff, but it makes it a lot easier as far as the network setup when you don't have to aggregate multiple ports together. So.
Oh sure, yeah, because, you know, on one of the old radios, if you had a, you know, had a 2+0 going full speed, you know, you needed a switch just to handle the radio.
Yep, and you had to have some kind of genius guy being able to program that switch to make it happen for you. You know?
Sure, yeah.
I mean, the other thing with this feature, this is a DT version product here. With, you've got the 2 subcarriers. Another option you'll have with this product is using an external coupler. So before you get to the antenna, and then you can attach another set of this chassis here with the 2 subcarriers. So more or less it maxes out at a 4+0 setup. So you can have 4 subcarriers going to 1 antenna, and again, using 10 gig interfaces to get all that data down to your switch cell.
That's a lot of bits. Yeah, kind of looking through your spec sheet real quick, you know, optional can come with, you know, 2 10 gig interfaces. It's got all, it's got an optional Wi-Fi interface, optional GPS.
Right, so that's another nice feature of this product is there's a USB port on the side. So we're going to make a little USB dongle, wireless dongle. So say if you're on the ground and you want to monitor, if you want to do some software setup, instead of at the tower location, you can be on the ground with an app and actually going in there and configuring the radio remotely using a wireless dongle then. So.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's a first for a traditional type, you know, microwave product to have a Wi-Fi interface.
Yeah, I think the big thing is our parent company is Remic. Bridgewave went through acquisition of Remic a few years back, and you know, Remic's been in the business of making OEM products since 2005. So anybody out there that's using a Remic interface or an RR interface for the radio, those are OEM customers of Remic. So they have a lot of knowledge and a lot of expertise in the microwave side. So they kind of took all that together and said, hey, what kind of product can we make not only for OEM customers but also for Bridgewave, which is more of our branded product. So anybody out there that has an antenna that supports a Remic interface will be able to take whatever radio they have and be able to put the Bridgewave product on there without buying a new antenna, which is another good selling feature.
Sure, yeah. And I know that it's not public, so you're not going to tell us. But the rumor on the street is that, well, previously Bridgewave was proud of their product and reflected it in the pricing.
Right.
And not that they're any less proud, but I hear that the other half of that story, the pricing might be a little different.
Yeah, so we're going to get pretty aggressive, especially on the ST version, which is a single carrier product. So you'll see that price comparison to any other competitor in the marketplace. One of the keys to that is we own our own chipsets in the product. So our parent company, Mosley, has a group that does chipsets. So in the past we had to buy chipsets from other companies, either be Qualcomm or Broadcom or something like that. Now that we own the chipsets and pretty much all the intellectual property inside the product, we can be very aggressive on the pricing and stuff. So in the ST version, like I said, once we announce pricing, probably about 30 days before we go to production, which is in that May-June time frame, you'll see pricing comparable to a lot of the other microwave products in the market, but with a lot more features and benefits they don't have. So.
Sure, yeah. I just noticed something here on your spec sheet. I see up to a 160 megahertz. Is that because you've got the two radios?
No, it's just the chipset that we have.
Okay.
So we're getting ready, for the FCC. It depends on which spectrum they're in.
Sure.
We have some customers that own 26 or 38 gigahertz spectrum, and they have up to 200 megahertz channel sizes. So what we wanted to do is make a product that was going to be able to scale. So as the FCC changes, maybe going from 80 megahertz or 60 megahertz channel sizes all the way up to 160 megahertz channel sizes, we'll have a product for that one. So we'll probably be the only product in the market that'll be able to support up to 160 megahertz channel sizes.
Okay. Okay. And so currently in FCC land, it still only does 80.
It depends, yeah. It depends. I think 60 it's on 6 gigahertz, 80 on the 11.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think on 18 you have some 80, but mostly 50. Same thing with 23.
Sure.
Again, what we're hearing is some of the carriers out there are pushing the FCC to increase the channel sizes to be able to get more bandwidth. So what we're trying to do is make a product so when that happens, we'll have a product that's ready to ship for that.
Sure. Sure.
And when you go outside the U.S., there's other countries that have different channel setups,
Sure.
which already accept 160 megahertz channel sizes. So.
Okay. And so then let's kind of shift a little bit here. What's this guy down on the end of your booth?
So the other product we have, which is kind of our bread and butter, that's pretty much what we started with at Bridgewave back in 2006, is on the millimeter wave side. So in the past, when we first started, we were doing 60 gigahertz, 80 gigahertz, mostly a gig, maybe up to 2 gig, 3 gig. And then last year we introduced a new 10 gig product. So this product runs on 80 gigahertz, so a lightly licensed frequency here in the US. It starts at 5 gig, software upgradable to 10, and then you can add a second radio to get to 20. So I think we're the only company out there right now that supports a 20 gig link. We've been shipping this product since last November. We introduced it, I think, in October. We shipped it about 30 days after we introduced it, and it's, our distributors can't keep it on the shelf. And we're one of the few people out there that have 10 gig products that also support 20 gig, and there's some other features in there that some of the other manufacturers don't have. And so,
okay.
Distance-wise, obviously, it's not going to get you the 10, 20-mile distances a lot of the rural ISPs like, but if you're more in an urban environment, we have some customers that go a mile, 2 miles kind of thing with it. So.
Sure. Yeah. That 60 to 80 gigahertz area has started to get real competitive the past couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, 60 is kind of limited. We don't have a big product footprint on 60 just because there's not a lot of countries out there that support 60 as 110 worldwide.
Sure.
And then you have the oxygen absorption issue where you only go about half mile at 60.
Sure.
So we have one 60 gig product. We've been shipping it for about 14 years. Where we put more of our research and developments more on 80 because there's over 250 countries around the world that support 80, and you get more bandwidth. Like I said, gig all the way to 10 to 20 gig bandwidth on it. So
sure.
Put some nice features on it. We've got a 10 gig port on it. We also support CIPRI. So anybody doing DAS or LTE backhaul that supports CIPRI, we support all the way up to Mode 7 on the CIPRI interface. So we have some of the larger players on the LTE side are looking to use CIPRI interface instead of running fiber for the LTE backhaul, because obviously it's a lot cheaper to do that. But to be able to do that, you got to have that CIPRI interface for LTE then. So.
Okay. And I see you got the back off, so I was kind of swing the camera around just to show people. Oh, I guess that could even be easier. There we go. Kind of zoom in a little bit here.
So you could probably see the interfaces. So we'll have multiple gigabit. We have one 10 gig interface. The other ones are all gigabit interfaces. Wiring conduit coming in here. So it's a little different design than the other one where you had individual ports. This one here, everything comes in here. You take the back cover off and then you pop the back cover back on. It supports both PoE, 48 volt, or both. So if you want to do redundancy, again, the radio can swap back and forth. Triple grounding on it. A voltmeter as far as for the alignment. We use both radio waves and MTI antennas, so either 1 foot or 2 foot antennas on it. So.
Bridgewave's always kind of been there. Oh, excuse me. Bridgewave's always kind of been there, but
yeah, I mean, we've shipped more 60 and 80 than any other company around, so. But again, we were the first on the market back in 2004 with our 60 gigahertz product, so.
Yeah, but I really feel that lately they've been reinvigorated, and we're gonna see a lot more people going to them.
Yeah. So I mean, We've been around since '04. We've shipped a lot of radios and stuff. I think the new thing that we're going to obviously is the microwave side. We've been shipping microwave since our Remick acquisition probably about 5 years ago. It was kind of limited as far as products and stuff. So I think the Navigator is definitely a game changer on the microwave side. So.
Sure, yeah. Years ago, didn't you have an 18 or a 23 gig link?
Yep, we still ship those. We have older products. But again, it was kind of limited as far as it was made for a specific customer.
Sure.
You know, back in the Clearwire days,
sure.
Clearwire was looking for different options. They used a lot of our 80 gigahertz, so they came to us and said, hey, you know, can you do 18 and 23? And we partnered with Remick to do that.
Sure, yeah.
But it was kind of a subset. We didn't have 11 gigahertz at that time, and for most of the rural ISPs, 11 gigahertz is about 80% of the market, you know. So with the Navigator, we'll be able to touch that market now. So.
Sure, yeah. And that one had three separate 50
That one had
gigahertz?
350 megahertz. You had to have 350 megahertz concurrent channels.
Yeah.
So you had to go to the FCC and license those 350s channels. And sometimes that was okay, but urban areas it was kind of challenging. With the Navigator, you know, obviously we're going to support things like XPIC and be able to support licensing channels in different subbands, you know, and be able to bring those together. Sure. So a lot different features than the older FlexPort product we had. So.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for your time, Jim.
Hey, no problem. Thanks a lot for stopping by the booth here. So.
Sounds good. I'll see you guys later.